Football. Wildcats. Football. I got it. Football. Wildcats. Football. Wildcats. Football.
Welcome to Married with Picks podcast, season 2, episode 10, week 8. Before we get started, remember we're available anywhere you get your podcasts. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to comment, ask questions, give us your opinions. All right, Steve. Let's see. Quick recap of last week. So you're kicking my ass in our bets amongst us. You're now up 5-3, I believe, on the Bengals last
Bengals
week.
beat the Ravens.
That was a
handily.
Letdown game, I think is what you call it, for the Ravens. Yeah, so you were up
that's what you can quote me on that.
$40. I owe you $40.
It was a big letdown for you.
It was. It really was.
You look kind of sad when we were watching that game. You look sad the whole time.
I'm usually the anti-Raven, but I was totally on the Ravens.
Yeah, you're getting your butts kicked. It was great.
So, well, what can you do? All right.
Bengals are for real.
And then overall on the week, Steve, you were 5-2, depending where you got the Miami line. But on our sheet, it was 2.5. So that was a cover. I was technically 2-1 because I only gave one pick and 2 underdogs. And then I said a teaser on 3 teams, which the Rams, depending where you got that, wouldn't have covered. But I had it at 9.5. So it was a cover.
You keep having winning weeks.
So
pretty strong picks.
All right, so
we're helping people out there figure out some of these games before Sunday kickoff.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can take what we say and, use their own input and make the right picks. So
a lot of valuable picking going on this podcast, I'll tell you that.
All right, so here we are, week 8. We only have 2 teams on bye this week: the Ravens, thank God, and the Raiders. So first game on the list is Miami at Buffalo. It opened at -11.5 and it's up to -14.5. And Steve, I'll let you start this week.
Well, if you remember the Bills are good. I think personally, I'll just come out the gate and say, I think the Bills are going to roll here against Miami. When they played week 1, they lost to Pittsburgh, and coming off that loss, they waxed Miami 35-0 in week 2.
Well, that was the game that Tua got hurt, and it was Jacoby Brissett for most of the game.
Yep. So Buffalo's the one that knocked them out, right? So he didn't last long at home. Coming off the second loss of the season in week 7 versus the Titans, I think we're going to see a lot of the same in this game. So Tua got knocked out with a rib injury. He didn't make it out of, I think, the first quarter. We'll see if he can survive this entire game, but this time it's in Buffalo. And even though the line's skyrocketing up, it's 11.5 open, right? It's up to 14 now in most places. Who knows, at kickoff, this is Friday night, so it might be north of 14. But I think you can expect a lot of the same. 35-0. I'd be shocked if Tua gets out of this game as well.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm pretty much with you. You got Buffalo. It was kind of rolling for a while there. They had a tough loss to the Titans right before their bye week. So they're going into this game. And I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Buffalo, but we're in Pennsylvania. It's starting to get cold here. So
remember I made the point last week that, I went against the Bills. And because I thought it was a point in the schedule where they were going to lose to the Titans, they were just coming off that big win against the Chiefs on prime time at the Chiefs as well. So it was a bad spot after that, kind of a letdown game, if you will, against the Titans. So I think they bounced back here against Miami. I think Miami's exactly what the doctor ordered here. They're going nowhere quick. I look for them to, win this by, they probably up in the 20s. Could be a 3-touchdown game.
All right. So next game on the list is Carolina at Atlanta. It opened at -2.5. It's at -3 in favor of Atlanta. Did you want to talk about this first, or?
It's not a strong play for me. I'm leaning towards Atlanta just because Carolina has looked so bad, and it's almost like they figured out Darnold in this offense. So, especially after coming off that very poor outing against the Giants last week. But do you have a strong play here?
No, to me, this is 2 bad teams facing off. I have no faith in either one. Darnold had a rough outing against the Giants?
Giants in New York.
So, I mean, you could argue a bounce back for him, but I have zero faith in Darnold.
Here's the problem for me is like, Atlanta shouldn't be favored against anybody. They're a 3-point favorite. So, when I initially looked at this game, I was like Carolina. But the last couple of games have really stung with Carolina. And it's very hard to, I think, really pick a side on this game Sunday.
Yeah, I got nothing on that one. All right, Steve, next game up is your Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Detroit. It opened at -3.5. It's still at -3.5. And Steve, a football team is like flower. It has roots. It needs water and fertilizer to grow and pop out. So I think you guys are going to get hosed, personally. This one, to me...
Nick Sirianni there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, nice.
So, I mean, to me, I got to give Detroit a lot of credit last week. I mean, I honestly thought it was going to be brutal for Goff. I almost thought, he wouldn't make it through the whole game. But they competed and they were in it right up until the end. And then, Jared Goff did Jared Goff things and threw a pick and ended the game. But they were in it right up until the end. So to me, if I'm Dan Campbell in the locker room this week, I'm telling that team that this is the week. This is the team. This is where we get our win. And to me, this game comes down to the coaches. And I have a lot more faith in Dan Campbell than I do in Mr. Flower Power over there. Okay.
Nick Sirianni is his name. And that really says a lot because I know how much you love Dan Campbell. It's not very much.
I think he's a good motivator of his team. And I think that's what Sirianni was trying to do. But if you're a grown man sitting in the locker room and your head coach pops a picture of a flower up on the screen and starts talking about its roots and water and fertilizer, like, what are you thinking? What are the guys in that locker room thinking? I respect the concept, but the delivery is horrible.
I don't know. It seems like we're rooting for a high school football team here. And the talent's not high school. They got a lot of good talent on the team, but I just feel like I'm watching the same team over and over and over again. They're not adjusting their plays. They're not, it's almost at this point as if Nick, to prove a point, will not run the ball. And people that are not watching these Eagles games, you hear fans say run the ball all the time when you're watching an offense that maybe runs the ball 70-30. Sometimes 30%, is not that much. This guy's running the ball 2 times a game. You know what I mean? Like, it's like 97.3%. It doesn't make any sense, especially when you have a quarterback such as Jalen Hurts, who's young and needs all the help he can get. If he's going to maturate into a quality starting quarterback in the league, regardless, everybody needs a little run game to work off that play action. It just makes passing that much easier. So there's no way you can tell me that you can completely neglect the run, or that you can argue these screen passes or 2-yard dump offs to the running back are like runs, or the read option is like a run, even though the guy never hands the ball off. He always pulls it back, and either he'll run himself sometimes, but looks to pass all and not a lot are complete. So I don't know.
All right.
Sounds like you're going Detroit.
I'm definitely going Detroit. Do you have a pick on this game?
Listen, I've been on Detroit the whole season almost, like trying to figure them out. I like them coming in. I feel like they burn me all the time. So I just don't understand why the line's 3.5. And I keep going back to last week. Detroit pulled out all the stops to try to beat St. Louis. They had an onside kick. They had a couple fake punts. And they still couldn't win. It was like a big letdown game for them coming into this week. How can you get up for the game that you can actually win? Well, the problem is that, it was rah-rah win for Jared Goff because of the big trade. That's very, obviously the big trade between quarterbacks in the offseason. So this is the game that he wanted. He felt spurned by the Rams. He just got dumped and traded. And after being the franchise quarterback, the number 1 pick overall in the draft, taking him to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. And then they just traded him and he didn't even know about it. He heard it on SportsCenter or whatever. They called him at the last minute. Like, that would piss you off. That was his emotional game. My point is as much as I hate this coach, this is a cover for the Eagles. There's no reason why this line should be 3.5. Detroit should be even to giving the Eagles points.
How do you figure?
Vegas knows something
Detroit's
here.
record is 0-7.
There's a lot of people that love Detroit in this spot. And I think they're just overlooking the emotional letdown from last week. I'm taking Philly.
No, I don't know. I mean, to me, last week was a win for Jared Goff. I mean, nobody expected him to win that game, but at least it was a competitive game. But all right, we've spent.
They're not gonna. Listen. If fake field goals and onside kick work this week, then Sirianni truly is an idiot because that stuff works when you're not expecting it. But they should be expecting it now because they just saw last week and they have tape of it.
No. All right, we spent way too much time on that game. So let's move on to more competitive, meaningful football games. Next up is the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. It is opened at -2.5, and it's still at -2.5 on my card. But I thought that shifted in favor of Indy. So this one kind of pains me because I love the Titans. I couldn't pull the trigger on them last week, and they obviously played a good game against the Chiefs.
I pulled that trigger.
But I think that this is just a bad spot in the schedule for them. In the last 2 weeks, they beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. This is a division game. They played earlier in the season, and the Titans won that matchup. So to the extent a lot of times these games get split, it's also, it's kind of a must win for the Colts. I mean, they've been playing better the last couple weeks. Carson Wentz, I guess, is getting healthier and more comfortable. And so I think, from their perspective, it's a must win. And I just think it goes that direction.
So TJ Hilton, flashed 2 weeks ago, didn't play last week, and now he's questionable coming into this game. T.Y. Hilton, sorry, TJ Hilton. T.Y. Hilton. Is that a factor here at all?
I don't know. He's one of those guys, maybe he's a little long in the tooth at this point, but I will tell you a few years ago, T.Y. at home against...
He's only 30, so he's still got some wheels left.
T.Y. at home against a bad secondary was money in the bank. So I think he's questionable in this game. So, but if he plays,
he played in that game 2 weeks ago. He had 80 yards receiving.
He did,
and it kind of puts a different dynamic on it.
Well, I think you have who's the one guy,
Pittman Jr.
Yeah, well, he's
Pittman
there, but then
takes a back seat. It looks like they started getting chemistry in San Francisco last week with Carson. So that's the thing. If T.Y. comes in, it kind of changes the chemistry, but it gives them two legitimate threats out there at receiver.
Well, and there was two other guys, Paris Campbell and Zach Pascal, and I think one of them or both of them might be out. So, that opens it up for T.Y. a little more too. So, it's definitely worth a flyer in a DFS lineup.
Well, for me, I don't even know that T.Y. is going to play. So that's the point I'm trying to make is that, I think if T.Y. doesn't play, I love Tennessee here if T.Y. doesn't play because I don't think they have enough guns. Indianapolis is coming off of this big win in San Francisco on Monday night. So I'm expecting a little bit of a letdown, even though it is Tennessee, their division rival, coming in here. They're just really starting to gel with Carson, and I think Tennessee is gelling. They had the blip on the radar against the Jets, but during that game, they had no A.J. Brown. They had no Julio Jones.
And they will have no Julio this week.
Julio is out this week, but what they proved was after coming off that loss against the Jets, Julio was not available the next week, but A.J. Brown was, and they could move the ball with A.J. Brown in there. So without Julio, I think they've proven that they can do it with A.J. Brown and Henry running the ball. I don't think that Indy's ready for prime time yet, and Tennessee has proven that they are. Carson, I think, is still figuring out. He's getting better, and that I'm big on Carson. Being an Eagles fan, and I like Indy. But I'm not taking Indy in this position. I like Tennessee.
You're a big spot in the schedule type guy. So, to me, that's kind of part of the reason why I make the pick that I make is because you have the Titans coming off of two monster wins. The Bills and the Chiefs.
There's two things in my head. And I agree. This would, to me, could be a normal spot for Indy. But I think what trumps it is the Monday night action for Indy. teams that win on Monday night, a lot of times they have a letdown the next week, especially I think if Carson is just starting to figure it out. I think Tennessee has too many weapons. They're already there. Indy's still climbing up. I think by the end of the season, these teams are going to be evenly matched, if not Indy ahead of them. But I don't think that's going to happen this week. I like Tennessee. I just think Tennessee's a better team right now, week 7. They're a much better team than Indy. And I just can't get over this Monday night San Francisco win, which we did have. I had Colts big, but I think that's the ebb and flow that I'm concentrating on here in the schedule is them winning that game. I think they come back with a loss here. They're favored. And I just don't think Indy has jumped that point because they're giving I don't give San Fran any credit. I don't think San Fran's that good with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think the line makers here are giving too much credit for that win and overlooking the fact that it's coming off Monday night and there could be a letdown here on Sunday. I really like Tennessee here.
Well, I would make it a bet, but I feel like it jinxes my play, so I'm not going to do it.
Come on.
No, I'm taking the week off.
What?
I'm taking the week off.
Jeez.
All right. So next game up is.
You tell me if we disagree on like the next 6 games. I mean, we got like 10 games to talk about.
Because it's the Titans. I like the Titans. I'm picking against the Titans. It's already a bad spot for me.
I think we might have a game here.
So I'm definitely not going to bet you. I'm not going to make a bet with you against the Titans.
All right. Well, let me roll into this next game. It's the Rams at Houston, and the line started at 14, is now up to 16, maybe 15 and a half. I like to jump out on this game because I think it might surprise you on who I like here. Tyrod Taylor is coming back.
He's not
starting. It's Davis Mills. But they did bring him off the IR and have a roster spot for him. So he's, I'm assuming that he's going to be dressed and ready to go. So I like the play here. I could see Davis Mills starting, them losing at halftime and bringing Tyrod Taylor into this game. And Tyrod Taylor basically did not look that good. I believe they were playing Denver. Or no, he hasn't played yet. I'm thinking about Bridgewater. But I think if Tyrod Taylor is going to get in this game at halftime and bring them back into a cover against the Rams. Okay. I like the fact that David Johnson is now starting at running back. I think he gets an opportunity. He'll be excited to play. He's backed up with Phillip Lindsay, who's going to get his fair share of carries. He should probably get 6 to 10 carries, split the load a little bit. But David Johnson's the lead so far, the lead running back from what we're hearing. Well,
because Mark Ingram's gone?
Yeah, because Mark Ingram got traded. So it clears the path for these two guys to be excited to finally get a chance to start. So when Tyrod Taylor gets back in this game, which I believe he'll get in this game at some point, he's just not going to start. I think Houston can play it tight enough where this line is going to go, probably up to 17 by kickoff.
To me, it's just too big of a line. I can't touch it, but I would never back the Texans. If it was Tyrod, it would probably be a more competitive game.
I think this is where you still value. I know I'm getting a little risky here and saying that Tyrod Taylor is going to come in at halftime. I'm not exactly sure if he's going to suit up. He is off the IR. He should be suited up in the backup quarterback here. And I just don't think that they want to fire him out in the mix. He'll have more flavor. Let's say he starts the game and he sputters in the first 2 drives. Right. I think they're looking to get a little spark off the bench if Davis Mills struggles. And if not, Davis Mills keeps rocking. They can let him play the whole game. Regardless, I think you'll see Tyrod at the end, taking snaps by the end of this game.
I don't know how much Houston is really trying to even compete in these games or how much they're making decisions based on that, at least in the upper management and the coaching staff.
You think they're tanking?
I don't know what they're doing.
A lot of teams out there might look like they're tanking.
I'll be glad when November 2nd is finally here so I can stop hearing about whether Deshaun Watson is going to get traded or not.
What's that date? What's the trade deadline?
The 2nd, November 2nd, right? Tuesday. To me, the bottom line is I think the Rams win this game, but the Rams don't care about covering a spread. They care about getting the win. They got the Titans, the 49ers, the Packers coming up in the next 3 weeks. How much of their energy are they going to waste on trying to beat the Houston Texans by 16 points? So, I can't take it. at that high.
Yeah, I can just see where they're just, if they're not going to be tight, it's not really going to be that competitive of a game, but it's a lot of points.
So, all right, next game up is Cincinnati at the New York Jets. This opened at -3.5 in favor of Cincinnati. It's up to -11 at this point. We have Mike White is going to start for the Jets because Zach Wilson, is that his name, got hurt last week. I don't even know who Mike White is. I don't know where Mike White came from. I mean, it's a big line for the Bengals when you think the Bengals, but I mean, this year's Bengals are 5-2 and on top of the AFC North. So out of the big lines that are on the card this week, this is the one I like the most. I did bet it earlier at -9.5. I would prefer it down closer to 10, but I just don't see what the Jets have that they're going to be able to do with a no-name backup quarterback. So I'm kind of inclined to take Cincinnati, and they're going to be my survivor play this week, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to use Cincinnati too, where I have them available. I used them on the Thursday night in a couple spots, but have yet to have any eliminated. I have 4 spots.
Do you have anything to say about this game?
I like Cincinnati.
Okay.
I know the lines jumped up tremendously, but I think you just play against the Jets. Cincinnati, it looks like. What I don't like about this is the spot in the schedule, really, because it's a sandwich between 2 big division games where they had Baltimore the prior week, and I believe that the Browns lined up for next week. So it's not a good spot. Could be like considered a letdown.
Week. It could be a letdown, but
yeah. But the Jets start Mike White, like you said, and he's been 4 years in the NFL with no starts. He's been on the practice squad with the Jets since 2019. So last week was his first action. This is his first start.
What does that tell you that he's been there for that long and never got a start in New York?
Well, and the Jets have been like the dread of the NFL.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Since then, so you're,
they never really cared to see what this kid had.
Yeah, exactly. How's he just getting his chance now? Well, I mean, Darnold, took a lot of those snaps since
it was that time. Adam Gase, but okay. All right. So next game up is Pittsburgh at Cleveland. It opened at -2.5 in favor of Cleveland. It's at -4. This is a division game. It looks like Baker Mayfield will start, and I think Chubb is questionable, but it sounds like he's trending towards playing. Kareem Hunt is still out. So to me, this comes down, I think, to the coaching. So I think Kevin Stefanski will be better prepared than Mike Tomlin. Big Ben on the road is always a little risky. The Steelers are a little risky this year. So
this year,
I gotta go with Cleveland here.
Big Ben. I like Cleveland too.
They pulled out the win last week without their starting quarterback and starting running back. So I think they can pull this one out too. So
Pittsburgh's 3-3 and Cleveland's 4-3. So let's say Pittsburgh wins this game. They move to 4-3. Cleveland's 4-4. Pittsburgh would have a better record than Cleveland 7 games into the season. And it just doesn't seem like that should be possible, especially when you see the grit that Cleveland displayed last week with Casey Keenum and winning the game. I think now that Baker's back, you should see Cleveland, I think, win pretty handily. And it's really a play against Pittsburgh. I just don't think Pittsburgh is that good.
Okay.
Cleveland's defense, one other thing, Cleveland's defense, they proved last week they could win with Keenum. Their defense is carrying that team. They're getting a lot of pressure up front. And Pittsburgh has proven that when they go up against a really good defense that, Ben being a little slower, he's releasing the ball a little, it takes him a little longer to get rid of the ball. I think that he will struggle with this defense, and Cleveland could eat. The dog pound could eat this week.
All right. So you're picking Cleveland?
Absolutely.
All right. Next game up is San Francisco at Chicago. It opened at -3.5 in favor of San Francisco. It's at -4. Matt Nagy, the head coach, is questionable to be present at this game due to an illness. I don't know that matters too much. This one also comes down to coaching for me. I got to side with Shanahan. I don't have a lot of faith in the 49ers as a whole. I don't think they're overall that good of a team, but they're in a very good division. They're sitting at 2-4. So this is, got to be a must win in Shanahan's mind. So I think he can do enough. I mean, I would prefer it probably closer to 3, but I got to take San Fran here, and it doesn't feel good.
So is he confirmed sick, or is he been in contact with people that are sick?
And he has to have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart.
Matt Nagy, the University of Delaware product, goes down.
They'll know Sunday morning is what I read.
All right, I like Chicago here. I don't think San Fran's that good. You're getting 4 points at home. I'm not a huge fan of Chicago, but I'll take them here. I think it's a 3-point game.
They have a few injuries on their defense. The name is escaping me, but
so they got lit up last week.
So, all right. So, are you picking Chicago?
I like Chicago, yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely not betting you on that one. And next game up on the list is Jacksonville.
Jacksonville versus Geno Smith.
Traveling to Seattle. It's at -3.5 in favor of Seattle. Obviously, we have Geno Smith at quarterback.
Does Geno get the win?
This game I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I have zero faith in Pete Carroll, Urban Meyer. I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this game, and I don't want to be sweating it. End of story. You want to make a pick on this?
Yeah, I love Trevor Lawrence. I think that's the guy you look at here. Trevor Lawrence is young. He's spry. He's improving. And I think he's the one that's in this game is going to power their team to the win. I think that's the key to this. Geno Smith, how many points is he going to put up?
Well, you throw a ball to DK Metcalf and let him run it down the field.
If you're Geno Smith,
Jaguars secondary is not very good.
Every other throw should be to DK Metcalf, right? And they hit him down the sideline last week for a touchdown early in that game, went up 7-0 and didn't throw the ball basically to DJ Metcalf the rest of the game. Maybe 2 receptions, and I don't think he got another look until inside the 2-minute warning of the first half.
DK Metcalf is turning into a little bit of a premature diva in the NFL.
Well, and he's got great hair.
He was getting into it with, was it Marshawn Lattimore? And, it's just not a good look. He was on Twitter arguing with who's that?
No, he's an idiot.
Shannon Sharp,
most receivers in the NFL are idiots. But the fact is this dude can play. If I'm Geno Smith, I just throw the ball up, try for pass interference, or just let him make a play. He should get 15 targets legitimately in this game. But
and that's why I said I don't have any faith in Pete Carroll to take that approach. I mean, that's probably the winning approach in a game like this.
So Geno Smith, take this to heart. Geno Smith, 3.5. I see 3.5, 3 in some places, but it looks like it's flashing at 3.5 point favorite against an NFL team. I'm taking Jacksonville. I'll take the points.
I'm not touching it. All right. So at least now we get to maybe some more interesting games.
Your boy Belichick.
The next game is the New England Patriots traveling to LA to take on the Chargers. This opened at -5.5 in favor of the Chargers. It's at -4.5 in favor of the Chargers. My first take when I looked at this was the Chargers, right? But I second guessing it, and I went back and looked, and these teams played last year. The final score of that game was 45-0 in favor of New England. Now this was Justin Herbert as a rookie. It was the Anthony Lynn Chargers. So I think that does make a difference, but I mean, how much different is it from late last year to midseason this year for Justin Herbert? Is he going to be that much better against Belichick now? I don't know. They're coming off a bye. Before the bye, they had the tough loss to the Ravens. So I think they show up. They also the Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL. So I think that Belichick can scheme up a running game and the short passing game to kind of put up some points of their own. So listen, real quick, from a fantasy perspective, because I know this impacts me as well. My fringe running backs in a lot of leagues is Harris in New England. So would you say this is, every once in a while I'll get him in my flex. I really got other guys that if I put my best guy in, Harris is sitting on the bench, but I'll hit him in the lineup. I've done it, a couple of weeks this year. Is this a week that I should put him in then? Yes, I would put him in. All right. So if you're in that same position, you have Harris, the running back at New England. So, I think the Patriots can compete in this game. So I think maybe the Chargers still win, but I think I got to take the points and go with New England. I mean, it doesn't feel good, but
You can say that he was just starting his career and he's going to progress at quarterback, but I just can't get over the 45-0 shellacking last year. And you don't usually turn that around 1 year later.
Well,
and you see a lot of times where it's scheme related and that translates year after year after year. Like you saw the Chargers against Baltimore until this year. Like 3 years ago in the playoffs, they went and owned Baltimore up until this year. But that was a 3 or 4 year run where they were owning Baltimore. I think it's flips here. I think you would take New England in the points.
Well, let me say this. They always say like Bill Belichick will take away your best player. So if he's going to take that approach against the Chargers, who is that? Does he take away the deep threat, Mike Williams? Does he take away Keenan Allen, who typically had been that guy, but I think he's been less so this year with the emergence of Williams. You also have Austin Eckler at running back.
I would take away Eckler, but it's harder to take away Eckler because he's also very effective out of the backfield.
Now, he did pop up on the injury report today, so that's another thing to watch out for. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of back and forth, but I think you take the points. And I think for me with New England, I can't get that Houston Texans game out of my head when I think of the Patriots this year. So I struggle with that, but yeah, I'm going to go with New England.
All right. So Eckler was a full participant on Wednesday, but he felt soreness in his hip after practice and was sidelined on Thursday and Friday.
So it sounds like a play, but
well, I don't know. I mean, he played Wednesday, but not Thursday and Friday. So I think that to me is scary. Usually you're trying to take the days off earlier in the week, and then Friday's the important day. So we'll see. Maybe they're just playing it smart and getting him some rest. Hopefully that's the case. He is questionable, though.
All right. So next game up is Washington at Denver. It's at -3.5 in favor of Denver. So, I mean, I think Denver has kind of been underperforming both on offense and defense. Von Miller, who was talking kind of shit before last game, and then he ends up leaving. Way to
motivate the other team, right?
Leaving that game and
leaving his teammates out to dry.
He's questionable for this game. So Washington wasn't able to really do much on offense when they played the Chiefs and the Packers in the last couple weeks. That they only put up like 10 points in those games. So them traveling to Mile High worries me a little bit. But I can't take Denver as a 3.5 point favorite based on what they've done. I mean, they lost last week to the Browns with, half their starters missing. So it doesn't really feel good, but I would lean towards Washington on this one. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
Well, this starts a stretch against Washington where Denver's going to face the NFC East 3 straight weeks. They got Washington, then they go to the Cowboys, finish up with the Eagles on November 14th. Denver, remember, is a team that won 3 games out of the gate. They've lost their last 4. And Teddy Bridgewater came back last week. But, reports are after this game that Teddy Bridgewater was about 70-75% healthy. But coach decided to start him regardless. And, they struggled. But he seems to be was a full participant this week in practice. They say he's back to 100%. Jerry Jeudy should be back.
I don't think he's playing this week.
Is he not playing?
No.
That's important. Let's just take a look. Broncos receiver Jerry Jeudy sits out Friday, but team's still optimistic he will return against Washington. Okay. Mm-hmm. So regardless, he may or may not play. I like Bridgewater, though, and I don't like Washington in the spot.
You go like opposite of me. When I go opposite of something, then you go opposite.
What do you mean?
Well, because I was a big Denver fan in the beginning, and then they kind of let me down. So now I'm on Washington in this one. You were always against
Washington. I'm jumping off Washington
against Denver, and now you're on Denver.
Well, here's the thing. I think Denver's good enough that they would be able to take away McLaren, and I think once you take away McLaren, that offense struggles. So I like Denver here. It's a really big play on Teddy Bridgewater. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he looked good until he got hurt early in the season. And obviously, Denver lost 4 games in a row. I look for him to flip back to the winning side this week. You want to bet on this one?
No. I mean, you kind of talked me off of Washington a little bit there, so I have no confidence in this game whatsoever, though. Next game up is another interesting game. Tampa Bay at New Orleans.
This is the one I'm going to get you on.
Well, it opened at -4 in favor of Tampa. It's at -4.5. So this is a division game. These teams played twice last year in the regular season, once in the playoffs. When they met in the regular season, both games, the Saints held Brady to 3 points. Tampa was able to beat them in the playoffs to go on to win the Super Bowl. Now, this is obviously the Jameis Winston Saints, not the Drew Brees Saints. The Bucs are going to be without Antonio Brown again, which I'm really upset about this. And it sounds like Gronk is going to come back. I almost wonder whether they'll have Gronk doing a little more blocking in this one, though.
So let me ask you this real quick, because Antonio Brown's out for the second straight week. So that void, wouldn't that void, if let's say he was going to be out a couple of weeks, or at least for an insurance plan, if you could get the guy to agree to it, wouldn't that be a good spot for Deshaun Jackson to try to work a trade out? They've seen a propensity to bring on these free agents from other teams, kind of like they're cherry picking all-stars off of other teams. I could see Deshaun Jackson there.
I don't know. I don't know if Brady would really want Deshaun Jackson.
Well, who wouldn't want Deshaun Jackson?
Well,
the question is, Deshaun Jackson wants out of there because he's not getting enough activity.
But here's the problem
with
Deshaun.
He's going to have to agree to go there because he'll probably be the fourth guy and not get the ball.
Here's the problem with Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson wants to be the guy, and Cooper Kupp is the guy in LA. So Tampa Bay. I don't even know
that he wants to be the guy. I just think he wants opportunities. He had one game with 3 passes and 120 yards and a touchdown, and they haven't thrown him the ball since.
Why couldn't he beat out Van Jefferson for the third receiver spot?
Or are they just, they're looking at the young guy. If the young guy
I think
performs,
you got like a guy
you're
like.
You're not going to play the 34-year-old. You're going to play the guy you just drafted.
You're going to play the guy who's doing better at practice, who's more of a team player.
I think he was insurance plan in case Van was no good.
I think that, Robert Woods is more like a team guy. He's okay being the second guy and letting Cooper Kupp get all the touchdowns. But Deshaun Jackson wants to be the one scoring all the touchdowns.
They're just not getting him the ball, JACLYN. So it's not like he's number 3. And yeah, exactly. It's not like of course he wants to be the guy to get touchdowns. I agree. This guy just wants to hit the field. He just wants to spot on the field.
You got to work your way onto the field.
Clearly, if he's on the field, he wants to score touchdowns.
Deshaun Jackson doesn't think he has to work his way onto the field. I don't know, but
I think
to answer your question,
they're going with the young guy that they drafted.
Tampa Bay is not a good spot for him to go. All
right, so let's get off that. Let's go back to Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
So let me finish
Fired you up on that one. It was a good question.
Let me finish my spiel. So we have no Antonio Brown. We'll have Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans, who anytime he goes up against a good corner, he kind of fades. So he's never had a good game against Lattimore. So that really kind of limits Brady's options. Plus, I don't know to what extent the fact that Mike Evans, because I don't think like Brady and Mike Evans necessarily have a great chemistry. I don't think he's the guy that Brady wants to throw the ball to. And then him giving Tom Brady's 600th football to the fan in the stands. I don't know if that went over well in Brady's mind.
That's just reaction.
Well, it just shows that he had no clue or didn't care. Wasn't paying attention to what was going on. It was a grown man. He gave it to a grown man. All right. Anyway, so I worry about Brady in this game going up against the Saints defense a little bit. But at the same time, the Tampa Bay Bucs now are not the same Tampa Bay Bucs that played the Saints last year. And then you have Jameis on the other side. Todd Bowles would have been the defensive coordinator in Tampa for at least 1 year when Jameis was there. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with this game. What's your take?
I like New Orleans. I think it's too many points. Okay. Division game, 3-point game, maybe a 4-point game. But this line's going up to 4.5. I think it'd probably go a little higher. You're playing in New Orleans. The only thing that worries me on the Tampa side, really, and you didn't really mention it, so I'll just throw it out there, is Leonard Fournette coming back home to NOLA. If you remember he was an LSU product. So he's a local boy and could be motivated to get, well, that's what I'm hoping for. Malcolm Jenkins and the boys have a little familiarity, like you said, with last year's 2 regular season wins against Tom Brady. And our boy Malcolm Jenkins kind of had something to do with Super Bowl 52 against Tom Brady winning. So I think that I'm going to ride that side of the ball, that Saints defense, and hopefully they can contain Tom Brady. The major thing for me with that offense and Tom Brady is that he needs Antonio Brown in there for them to be fully clicking. And I think for an insurance policy, if you get Deshaun Jackson to agree to it, because if everybody's healthy, Deshaun's out. But I think that's the missing piece, that if Brown's out, you can plug him in, and that's a speed guy down the middle that'll stretch it out for Goodwin and for Evans.
They didn't put Antonio
and Gronk
Brown
when he's healthy. Is Gronk playing?
Yes, Gronk is playing.
Okay.
They did not put Antonio Brown on the PUP list, so that would imply that they don't expect him to miss more than 3 games. So, well,
they're trying to win the Super Bowl. That's the only thing I'm thinking. Well, I mean, they clearly don't care. They've had 2 running backs in Jones and Fournette, and they went out and got Giovanni Bernard. So, that's what I'm saying. They're not averse to bringing these, all-star type talent in. They have to agree to it. But I mean, hey, would you rather ride the bench for Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, or would you rather? I think if anything,
Deshaun Jackson should go back to Washington for when Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back, because those two had chemistry when they were together in Tampa Bay, and that's what Deshaun Jackson needs at this point in his career. But enough Deshaun Jackson talk. All right. So, yeah, I think I side with you on that one. I mean, I hope the Bucs win, but I think it could be a close game and maybe not a cover there.
All right, let's get out of the 4 o'clock games and get to Sunday night.
So Sunday night, we have Dallas at Minnesota. Now, it opened at -2.5 in favor of Dallas. It shifted to -3 in favor of Minnesota because of the news, I guess, of Dak Prescott and what is it, his calf? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think.
But apparently he's questionable.
By the way, Gronkowski's questionable. He's
questionable, but I think he's expecting to play.
Okay.
So this was the Sunday night game, and I was going to be all over the Vikings as the home dog, but now they're favored. So why are they favored? Is that anticipating that Dak's not going to play? Yeah, I can only assume, because I mean they're a public team. The money would have been all over them at only -2.5 in this game.
Yeah, but a line moves like that when you confirm the guy's not playing.
Well, from what I read, he said he's hopeful that he can play, but it's not just his decision, like implying that the training staff or whatever might hold him back.
They must have inside information that he's not going to play. Yeah, I mean.
So, I mean, I think he is.
So the gamblers are betting, the people who are moving this line are betting that he's not going to play.
Yeah.
And I think it would be the smart thing for Dallas, because they're in a division where they're not going to have a lot of competition. They have a 3-game lead on the rest of the pack there with the Giants, the Skins, and the Eagles. So it might be the smart thing to do for Dallas. If Dak plays, I love Dallas here. I mean, I just don't think Minnesota can fire with him.
So, I mean, I'm going to take Minnesota in this game regardless, because obviously if Dak doesn't start, then who's the backup? What's that guy's name?
Horrible. He's horrible. Tom Horrible.
But I don't want to take Minnesota as a 3-point favorite by any stretch.
Is it the Narducci guy?
I guess so, yeah.
Narducci, I don't even know.
Danucci, I think.
Danucci.
So, yeah, I mean, that kind of messed up my pick on that game. But, all right, so last game up is the Monday night game, and this is the New York Giants traveling to Kansas City. It opened at -13 in favor of Kansas City. It's down to -10. I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, on no planet did I expect the Tennessee Titans to hold them to 3 points last week. So I don't really know what's going on with Kansas City. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know if, there's stuff that we don't know. If it's just the adjustments that the defenses are making to kind of avoid the big plays, and they're not adjusting to.
They don't seem right, do they? Mahomes.
Well, I mean, I think the defenses are kind of playing a lot of cover too, and really focused on taking away that deep threat Tyreek Hill.
Are defenses blitzing him less? Like, when you saw Mahomes come up, he got blitzed a lot. He would go on the run outside of the pocket, made these like amazing throws on the run.
Right.
And I think watching him, and I was at the Eagles Chiefs game, I see less of him kind of wheeling and dealing. And I don't know if that's basically a product of the defense is saying, hey, let's not blitz him because he's burning us so much, and they're sitting back more people in the coverage. I believe that's what's occurring, making it more difficult for him to pass. So I think, he's got to start taking those intermediate routes, and that's really where you got to start working the tight end in. You're hitting your running backs out of the backfield. So I think that Kansas City is going to get it together this week.
Well, I think to me, it's a must win for them. Am I going to take them at -10 or more? No. I would
but it's going
tease
down
them down.
The New York knuckleheads are betting this game. They're betting the money
it's going
down.
down because the Giants have a decent defense.
Yeah, but it came out of 13. That's a true line. There's no major injury or health person coming back in to this picture that should change a line like that. This is pure money betting down. So I look at it like, hey, the true line should be 13. We're getting it at 9.5 right now, right? That's a 3.5 point bonus. That's over a field goal. I think you take Kansas City here. If this game goes down below 10, you see this being a 30-20 score. I like Kansas City here.
No, I don't. I can't go that high with them.
Would you go 9.5? So where's your threshold for the line?
Probably 7.
7, you would take Kansas City. 7.5, you would take the Giants.
No, I'm not going to take the Giants, but
7.5, you just would not take.
I don't want to touch it.
Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So you're not as absolute as me. I'm like, if I don't have to go this way, then I'm going this way. But just lay it off. So you're saying 7.5 lay off. If it goes down to 7.
Well, I don't think it's going to go down to 7.
It's Monday night. We got an extra day. It could go down to 7.
Well, and the Sunday night games, that's part of the reason I was going to go with the Vikings, because the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, they're the public games. They kind of tend to go against what you expect. So, I could see the Giants keeping it within 10. But, all right. So that does it for the games. Steve, your best bets of the week.
I like Buffalo. I like
Make
Tennessee.
sure you get them all out.
I like Houston. I like Cincinnati. I like Cleveland. I like Chicago. I like Jacksonville. I like Denver a little bit. I like New Orleans. I like Dallas if Dak plays. I like Kansas City. I like all these games. Okay. I'll tell you what, when I looked at this week, I struggled early. The more I looked at it, let's just say Friday today, when I sat back down to really kind of put pen to paper as to what my selections were going to be for the show, it came quickly. So I like the picks.
Okay. Well, I hope you got them all out. So my best bets are going to be Indy, Detroit, Cincinnati, and my underdogs, depending on what happens with Dak Prescott, the Vikings, and the Lions are an underdog. I am not going to go down the list and pick every game like you just did, but that's fine.
We know why I just did that.
I know. But
I'm not going to explain it on the podcast.
Well, the best bets are the best bets. Peace out.